we want to be the center of attention, and we want to be the best and the most cool one, and this and that and this and that. Yes. Okay. So let us have a look at this verse. This is 4th Canto, 8th chapter, verse 34. So I will just once chant the Sanskrit through, and then we go to the translation. Gunadikan mudam lipset anukusham gunadamat maitim samanat anvichen natapir abhibhuyate. Translation. Every man should act like this, and here man is meant human. So not man in opposition to woman, but human. Prabhupada often uses man when he means human being, you know. So every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. Yes, I forgot to mention, please try and be attentive, because I do like to be a little interactive as much as time allows. So usually it takes more time, but a little bit. And we will collect the different aspects of envious, non-envious behaviors towards seniors equals juniors. Of course, when you look in the phone, then it's no big deal to just read what Prabhupada says there. So it may be better even if you don't look in your phone and you try to simply hear and remember. Yeah, so I mean this last sentence in the translation is already an interesting statement, that if we just learn how to act in a non-envious way, we will never be affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. Wow, that's pretty promising, isn't it? Yes, it's amazing actually, you know, that this envy is what causes all our miseries. Yes, yes. So now let us go to the purport. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. So Prabhupada uses it in this term. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. And when we find someone equal, we become very proud of our activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations. So one more time, this point is made, you know, how this envious behavior are the causes of all our miseries. The great sage Narada therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate towards him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. And now the last sentence in a purport, Prabhupada often hits the nail in the head one more time. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. Yeah, so a third time this point is made, you know. And one may say, well, aren't we always saying there's no happiness in this material world? So what here Prabhupada says, these important functions will make one happy in this world, in this material world. So the answer to the seeming contradiction is that there's nice descriptions in the Bhagavatam that in the spiritual world, because there is absolutely no desire for sense gratification, therefore there's also no envy. That's the special feature of the spiritual world. So, and we can say, if a person in this world is non-envious, first of all, that person must be a pure devotee. Otherwise, there will be the desire for sense gratification, and then there will be envy there. So, and a pure devotee is not part of this material world. A pure devotee is already in his or her consciousness in the spiritual world, actually. You know? And therefore, one with such consciousness, one can be happy in this material world because one is actually not really part of this world. Right? And another purport Prabhupada says so nicely, actually there is no material world. There's only forgetfulness of Krishna. And of those people who are in forgetfulness of Krishna, of them it is to be said that they are living in the material world. You know, very nicely he puts it, from them it is to be said. Yes. Okay, so let us have a look at relationships towards seniors. So Prabhupada says, the non-envious behavior is what? How do we receive this person? Anybody remembers? Huh? Yeah, joyful, jolly, happy. So, I usually first look at the envious behavior. So, let's go back to the envious behavior. So, we will not be so joyful to receive the person, right? That we think, oh no, this person is coming, stealing my show here. And we may ask, oh, nice to see you, Prabhu. How long are you here for? Oh, 3 days. Okay, good. And in our hearts we think, oh, thank God, after 3 days he's going again. You know? Yeah, these things are all pretty subtle, and we may have this plastic smile there in the face, but deep in the heart we actually don't feel so pleased to receive that person. So what else do we do with a senior person if we are envious? We don't only are not so jolly to receive him, but what else? What else do we do? Come on. Or are you all non-envious? Now, what do? We're pretty good at it too. Huh? Nobody can guess it. What do we do with a senior person? You imagine, senior person comes, visits, and you are envious. What do you do? Huh? Stay away. Yeah, one thing is we ignore the person, right? We pretend the person has no importance whatsoever. You know, he's nobody and nothing, not worth even talking to or something. We ignore the person, and what else do we do? Something a bit more fault finding is exactly, oh yeah, we're pretty good at that. We're criticizing and fault finding. So we do that to reduce that person's importance, right? Let's take an example from everyday life in an ISKCON community. Let's imagine a traveling preacher comes and giving a class, and our friend says to us, oh, that was a nice class, wasn't it? And then we say, yeah, it was all right, but, you know, we find something, but it was not so Shastric, person didn't quote so many verses, and. You know, so now interestingly, even if it is true, But just the fact that we have that urge to make the statement, if we really look in our hearts in honesty and reflection, we have to admit that there is some envy there. That's why we make this statement, even if it is true. So that's a point which we very easily miss, isn't it? In the name of speaking the truth. Well, I'm speaking the truth. What's wrong with that? I'm just sharing with my friend my experience in the class or something. Yes. You know, after all, this freedom, we have freedom of speech here, modern South Africa, you know. So why can't I say the truth? You know, that's how we justify. But our previous Acharya Sridhar Swami, he makes this point. He says, whether it is true or not, speaking about faults of a Vaishnava means to blaspheme him, even if it is true. We easily miss that one, you know. Yes. And after this discussion, maybe you will observe yourself a little bit more, and you may discover that we do this quite frequently, you know, and we don't even realize. Same thing with a kirtan. Let's imagine somebody leads a kirtan, a friend of ours says, oh, that was a nice kirtan, and we say, yeah, it was all right, but, you know, I didn't like the melody, or his mridanga playing needs a bit of improvement, and so we find something to reduce his importance. And in other words, we say, if I had led the kirtan, I of course would have chosen a nicer tune, and my mridanga playing is better anyway. You know, so yeah, that's why we say these things. Yes. So yeah, very subtle. So let's look at the non-envious behavior. We said already, we are jolly to receive that senior person if we are non-envious. And what else do we do? How do we associate with a person who is more experienced? We hear from them, we inquire. Yes, and what else? Respectful, yeah, well, that's how the respect manifests. But what else do? We hear and inquire and serve, yes. Pariprashnena sevaya. So that's not only towards Guru, it's actually towards any more experienced person. That's how we take advantage of a person's presence, you know? Yes. And interestingly, this serving and inquiry, they enhance each other. The more we are humbly serving, that puts us in the right frame of mind to hear and inquire. And the more we hear and inquire, the more inspired we get to serve. And the more we serve, the more we want to hear and inquire. So they enhance each other. And they are very important aspects of our devotional development, because, yeah, we can learn so much from persons who are more experienced than we are, you know. And I mean, these days, maybe you have noticed, people often love to talk about themselves, what they all do, and this and that, you know. Yes, yes. Instead of inquiring, people just talk about themselves, which is a little inappropriate in the presence of a senior person, unless that senior person asks us, so what are you doing, and you know, so then humbly we can share something. But we are meant to actually inquire from them and squeeze some nectar out of them, because, you know, sadhu has actually so much to share. But people really only share when the other person is eager to hear. And if they don't inquire, they probably are not even eager to hear anyway, you know. Yeah, so it's quite an important thing, you know, how we behave and how we associate with more experienced persons. So now let us move on to association with juniors. So what is the envious behavior towards juniors? Who remembers what Prabhupada says? We deride them, we're pushing them down, we are oppressive, we talk in a condescending way, oh, you are nothing. Even though, the superior person is already superior anyway, but in a kind of a perverted way, we enjoy that superiority by pushing them down. Yes. Or we make fun out of them, we crack a good joke on their expense in the presence of others and have a laugh. This is also a sign of envy. What else do we do which may indicate envy towards juniors? Can somebody guess this? What do we do? No idea. If we constantly and overly harshly and heavily correct a person all the time and chastise them and get on their case, this may, and as I said, let's not go in that direction that we think, oh, that's why my authority deals like this with me. They must be envious. That's the part where this thought can easily come. No, but if we, observe that we have this tendency of all the time picking on somebody and instructing, correcting all the time, heavily, overly harshly, getting on people's case, that this may very well indicate that we are allowing some envy there to reside in our heart, Also, a typical attitude is that we have this mood, okay, I want you to come up, but not higher than I am. I'm always here, you are always there. And that's how it will be, To actually really want somebody to be more successful, more glorious than we are, that really requires non-envy. Yeah. Yes. So these things are often so subtle, they remain unidentified, we don't identify them and we don't recognize them. And the interesting thing is, the contaminated intelligence will find all the justifications for our actions, That's what happens. I mean, envy, false ego, they are very good friends. They like to move around together. So false ego contaminates. False ego uses the mind and intelligence as tools to get the satisfaction it wants to have, And then the contaminated intelligence gives all the justifications and reasons why we are right and why this is okay for us to say and do, Yes, yes. Yes. Also, what we can observe in this connection, when we delegate a task to somebody else, I mean, many of us are in this position where we have to do this. So when we delegate, let's say, to a junior person, good and non-envious delegation is that we want that person to be successful. So therefore we follow up. We ask, so how are you doing? Do you need some help? Do you need some manpower? Do you need some advice? Do you need some more money? Whatever it may be. So that is a sign that we want that person to be successful. But very often what we do, we have this mood, okay, it's either you or me who do it. And if you want to do it, okay, good luck, you do it. And we don't follow up. Why? Because maybe we hope that this person will not be as successful as if I had done it. And then we can say, oh, see, I knew you can't do it, but you wanted to do it. Oh, there you go. I should have done it myself. Yeah, these things, unfortunately, we can encounter quite a lot. Yeah, so that indicates envy, Yes, good delegation means we follow up and we want that person to be glorious and successful, and we do everything to help that person, That would be a non-envious way of delegating, Yeah, also, if we have this mood, or I have no time for you, I'm so important, who are you? I have no time for you. Or when we are very impatient with people, oh, this guy is useless, I can't work with this person, and so this may very well also indicate that there is some envy there in our hearts, Yeah, so what is the non-envious behavior towards a junior, towards a less experienced person? Compassion, exactly. So we compassionately reach out, we want to uplift, affectionately guide. Yes. Actually, may I ask that the incense is extinguished after the arati immediately, because I'm allergic to incense. So, yeah, otherwise it will affect my voice completely. Yes, so the non-envious behavior is the compassionate, affectionately uplifting the person, wanting to reach out to them, wanting to make them more glorious and successful than we are. Right? That is truly a sign of non-envy. And also a non-envious person really knows how to connect with anyone. Prabhupada was the perfect example of this, He could connect to anyone and everyone and act for their absolute benefit, whether it's a child or some hippie or some drunkard or some scientist or some Christian priest or whoever the person may have been. Prabhupada knew exactly how to reach out, how to connect, and how to uplift people. Yes, that's how a non-envious person acts, And sometimes Prabhupada was very heavy, speaking so strong, calling people fools and rascals and mudhas and whatnot, Yes, but because Prabhupada's heart was 1,000% non-envious, people could feel this. And as a rule, they did not get offended, because they could feel Prabhupada was acting for their benefit, acting as their dear, most well-wishing friend, and people could feel that, So therefore, as a rule, people did not get offended. But we can't imitate this. When we call people fools and rascals and mudhas, there may very well be a bit of arrogance there. Actually, there's this nice story. It happened in Australia. When Prabhupada was driving back to the temple, coming back from a morning walk, and it was early in the morning, 6 or 6:30 or something, and in any Western city at that time, people were already rushing to work. So, and then one devotee in the car was saying, "Oh, look, Prabhupada, all these mudhas rushing to work," and the way he said it, there was a bit of arrogance there. You know, sometimes we are like that. We look down, these kamis and these meat-eating demons and all these things, you know. And there's no compassion there. There's envy there, and we put them down, you know. Thank God I'm so much better than them. You know, so this devotee was also saying in this mood, oh, look, Prabhupada, all these Mudas rushing to work. So, and then Prabhupada reacted very differently. He said, yes, how can we save them? And when the devotee looked over to Prabhupada, he actually saw that Prabhupada was crying tears down, you know. Yes. So that was Prabhupada's mood. How can we save them? And pained him, you know, to see these Mudas, you know. Yes. So we can see how much are we pained when we walk through the city here of Durban, you know. You know, so that shows how much compassion we have developed or not developed yet, you know. So what about relationships towards equals? What's the envious behavior? Pride. We are proud of our activities, right? We are chanting our glories. So between two equals who are envious, immediately competition enters, right? So in other words, the mood is, okay, we are equals, but actually I'm a little better, and I'm going to show you. So, and that's why we are chanting our own glories, you know, boasting what we all have been doing, you know. So let us imagine two not so mature preachers meet, you know, and again, you can nicely cover it up in the name of, oh, I'm just sharing with my friend. What's wrong with that? You know, we can all cover it up and justify it. But then, yeah, we start boasting. Oh, guess what? I was at the Durban Rath Yatra and they asked me to lead the kirtan for so long. You want to have a look here, YouTube? I'll send you the link. You can watch it, you know. And then I gave the main speech at the tent, and then I went to New York Rath Yatra, and guess what? Again, they asked me to lead the kirtan. I couldn't believe it, you know. And again, here YouTube, and so we carry on and on and on, and then we say, and what about you, Prabhu? What have you been doing? So, and by then the other person thinks, oh my God, you're so great, I'm nothing, you know, I haven't done anything worthwhile even talking about, and you're so fantastic. Yeah, so, and that's what happens, you know, amongst two equals who are envious. This mood of just trying to establish that we are actually more empowered and more senior and more experienced, you know. Yes. Yes. So what's the non-envious behavior amongst equals? Huh? Making friends, it says. So now one thing is friendship. We can also develop towards seniors or juniors, right? But the friendship amongst equals who are non-envious is a special type of friendship. There is also a kind of competition there. So what's the competition amongst equals who are non-envious? How do they compete? Huh? That's good. Well, I love Krishna the most. That's the envious one. How can I help you in your endeavors? Yes. Actually, two equals who are non-envious, they push each other forward. Out of Vaishnava humility, they consider themselves as less experienced. And they push each other forward. Oh, I want to hear from you, Prabhu. You give the class. Oh, you lead the kirtan. I like you, kirtan, so much. And. So they push each other forward. And that's exactly the mood in the spiritual world, actually. It is described that the gopis, the sakhis, they feel more bliss, pushing the others towards Krishna, supporting them to make the most pleasing arrangement for the Lord, and rather than pushing themselves forward. So we can just reflect a little bit, let's imagine our Guru Maharaj comes. Do we feel more pleasure pushing the others forward? Not sure. We may be pretty far away from that. We may rather want to be seen and noticed ourselves and get attention and credit and all this, Yeah. Also, amongst two equals who are non-envious, there's also very intimate and confidential sharing and inquiry happening. Again, because both see themselves as less experienced, so they treat each other like more experienced. So they inquire. They want to serve each other, and they inquire from each other about their secrets of their bhajan. Yes. That one says to the other, oh, you've been a brahmachari for 35 years distributing books all these years. How do you do it? What's your secret? Right? And then the other one says, oh, and you, Prabhu, you've been married for 35 years, so how do you do it? What's your secret? Being married, having family, earning income, and still you're doing so many things, and so on. What's your secret? So there's a very intimate and personal sharing going on, which cannot really take place so easily in the other relationships. Towards a senior, it may not be appropriate to inquire so confidentially and intimately about their secrets of their bhajan. And towards a junior, you can also not have that, that exchange, So, and that's what is the special thing in the friendship amongst equals who are non-envious. That's the price to pay, Only amongst non-envious equals you find this very intimate and confidential friendship and inquiry and sharing and all this, Yes. Yes. So now, what do you think? Which relationship is the most purifying one? With seniors, equals, or juniors? Any suggestion? Come on. Nobody wants to suggest something? Huh? With seniors? Any other suggestion? All of them? Well, let's put it that way. While we are very young devotee, yes, we do learn a lot from seniors, but actually the equal association is what brings the most biting and pinching envy from the most hidden corners of the heart to the surface. Yes. Because there we have to show true color where we're at, To associate with a very senior person, not so difficult, because we can always hope that some of their glory splashes over to us. That we say, oh look, it's always me next to Guru Maharaj. Every picture, it's me next to him. So he is the best and I'm the next best. And with juniors, also not so difficult to surround yourself with juniors who all look up to you and all that, but with equal, that's, where it really, where we are exposed. If we are actually humble servant, or whether we want to try and prove that we are actually a little more experienced and more senior and all this, yes. So association with equals is really the most challenging, yes. In the Bhagavatam we have the famous story of Prithu Maharaj and Indra, when Prithu Maharaj wants to do the 100th horse sacrifice, then Indra steals the horse, while Indra had 100, Prithu Maharaj 99, everything was fine, because Indra was superior. But as soon as Prithu Maharaj does the 100th, he's overcome with envy, he steals the horse, so the yajna can't go on, and the whole stealing goes back and forwards. So that very clearly shows, the difficulty of equal association. And I mean, maybe some of you have that experience. Two equally experienced cooks cooking lunch for Guru Maharaj can be a challenge. If it's one expert, one helper, no problem. But two experts, very easily that competitiveness comes in. Who is more expert? Who knows better what Guru Maharaj likes and this and that, Or I've seen it. Devotees stealing each other's boga, stealing each other's pots, like stealing the horse, so the yajna can't go on. Same thing happens in this kitchen, Yes, yes. Or once I witnessed the situation where one person had cooked something, and then the more senior lady in charge, she said, "No need to serve this. Guru Maharaj can't have it. It's not good for him." And she didn't want to serve it, Yeah, I mean, that's envy, Why not show it to him? He may ask, what is it? He may want to try one spoon, But to just say, no, I know this will not be good for him. No need to serve it. Take it out. Also, when people don't want to share their recipes, only I know how to cook this. I want to be the only one. Nobody else should be able to cook this for Guru Maharaj, No, the non-envious behavior would be here. You want to know what's a really good recipe here, you make it. Let them get the glory. That would be the non-envious behavior, but, yes. Yeah, so equal association, very, very challenging, And, I mean, I have no clue what's going on here in Durban, But I do know in almost all communities there is some tension amongst equals, some power battles, false ego battles, and yes, it's almost everywhere, yes, yes. So let's identify what the problem is. It's not just some personality clashes or something, but no, it's actually this inability, to associate with equals, which goes back to envy. Yes, it does, yes. Yeah, and even conflicts in the world, outside of ISKCON, it's also always this problem of equal association, meaning sharing your influence with somebody equally influential. That's a challenge, because people are afraid, or maybe that other person is more influential, that other person will be more popular, people will like him more, so yeah, not easy, not easy. And there is pretty well-known formula which His Holiness Vardhana Swami is giving. The way I understand it, it's not a Shastric formula, but he maybe made this formula. I didn't read it anywhere in Prabhupada's books, just to impress this point that eco-association is so important. So he says, out of 100% of association, 60 should be spent with equals. And 20 were the topmost, and only 20 with juniors. That's a challenge. You know, as a younger devotee, it may be quite natural to have 60% eco-association. But as we become so-called senior, to have 60% eco-association, not so easy. You know, not so easy to get that. Yes. And we may even unconsciously avoid it because we feel some certain discomfort. You know? Yes. Actually, this is one reason why in Mayapur we established the ILS, the ISKCON Leadership Sangha. You know, it's every 2 years that leaders from all around the world come together. They associate and also the Guru Sannyasi GBC Sangha, that's every other year that they associate, because you know, especially when you travel, preach and so on, you don't get so much eco-association. And it can easily leave some traces there in the heart if we don't have that equal association, you know. Also in the Bhagavatam we have the nice story when Lord Brahma wanted to see Lord Vishnu, and then the gatekeepers ask, "Oh, who are you? Which Brahma are you?" And Brahma gets all irritated. "What, you don't know? I'm Lord Brahma. What is this question?" So, and then the Lord calls all Lord Brahmas from all the different universes, giving our Lord Brahma a bit of eco-association. Yes, and then, okay, I'm not the only Lord Brahma here, and I have only 4 heads and the others have 10 and 100 and 1,000 heads, okay. So that humbles him a little, you know. Yes. So it's another nice example of the importance of eco-association. There is another point in the Bhagavatam, can't remember now where exactly, but Prabhupada makes a statement in the purport that a non-envious person can be strict with himself and liberal with others. And I thought that's a very good point too, you know, because sometimes we come across this, that we may be very strict, and then we get very irritated if others around us are not also like that. And we can even get really agitated about it, you know. Whatever it may be, what people eat, you know, some people eat chocolate, some people don't eat chocolate. So those who don't eat chocolate, they may get all, "Oh, what, you're eating chocolate," and boo, you know, or dress codes or whatever it may be, you know. So non-envious person will simply be strict with himself or herself, but can be liberal and accommodating with others, you know, knowing it's just a matter of time, if they seriously practice, that they also become more stricter or something and change their taste, you know. And again, Prabhupada was, we may give something up. Let's say we sleep very little, or we don't eat sweets or something. So, and then we get agitated if others do eat sweets or sleep a lot. So, and because maybe we still have some desire to actually also eat sweets and sleep more, then we get all, heavy on them. So that's how the envy comes out, that we think, they shouldn't enjoy, and so there's envy behind it, Okay, so let me see if you have any questions, since this is a pretty practical topic. Yes, Madhiti. Yeah. Yes. So there is definitely a difference, between fault finding and criticizing and clarifying your doubts. So one main thing is that with doubts, we should go to a qualified person. Ideally, a mentor. Yes. Mentorship, one of my books I published is about that. I will talk quickly about the books at the end. Yeah, so having a mentor is such an important thing. When people read this book, they will be clear that without having a mentor and eventually becoming one, we actually cannot make advancement. That's what it boils down to. So, and a mentor we can share, in confidence. That is not criticizing. But no matter what senior people do, it is not our position to pass judgments. So we have Guru Sadhu Shastra, and they point us in the right direction. And of course also we have to understand in Krishna consciousness that it's not black and white, right and wrong. It's actually a whole transformational process. Yes. So, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we may be doing so many things. We may have still the mundane taste, and then hopefully we transform, So, it's not our position definitely to judge seniors, because not everybody wants to transform, so we have to learn to respect everybody where they stand, and we choose our association, and we strive for what we think, or what Guru Sadhu Shastra says. But that doesn't give us the right to criticize others who maybe don't want to transform, So we have to be very careful. We should know what are the goals, but not pass judgments and criticize others, Yes. So having a mentor, a confidential friend where we can inquire, that's a must, actually. Yes. Are there any other questions? Yes. Actually, there is another mic. You can also use the mic if it works.
Yeah, this one's not so good, this mic.
Is it working?
Yeah, it works. You just have to put your face in it.
Okay.
So yeah, when you were mentioning about, sharing knowledge and is like a sign of non-enviousness, and made me think like there's that story of how Prabhupada told Yamuna Devi to share what she knew to avoid being envious. So I thought that was really nice.
Say it again. Prabhupada told Yamuna to share.
To share like what she knew, like all of her cooking and her recipes.
Yes.
To share her knowledge and her skills to avoid being envious.
He said that to avoid being envious?
Mm.
He gave that instruction, did he?
Yeah, that's what I...
Okay, so there you go. That's the point.
Yeah, that was the point that I just remembered that when you were talking. But my question is, like, would you say, like, then that it's a sign of becoming more non-envious when we become less critical and also less triggered by others not saying or doing what we are doing? Like you said, when saying, we still have that desire to sleep or eat more, but now we're judging people because they do it and you're not, and you know. So is it a sign of becoming less and less envious when we are becoming more compassionate and less critical?
Well, I dare say so, yes. Because to be actually genuinely compassionate, that develops proportionally to as we free ourselves from envy. Yeah. Envious person cannot truly be compassionate. Yes. Yes, I would say so. Yeah.
And I wanted to also ask, talking about, in the beginning, talking, if you could elaborate a little more on like the connection between, striving for sense gratification and envy.
Well, as soon as we want to enjoy, then we are always envious that somebody enjoys more or equally. And not only that, we want to also be supreme. We want to be the best. We want to be superior, That's a subtle form of sense gratification. So sense gratification is not only the gross thing that we somehow enjoy the senses or something, but then comes the subtle thing that we want to be the center of the universe, and we want to be so special and unique and extraordinary, and so that's the subtle gratification, what the false ego is demanding. So, and if we are in that consciousness, and that's the situation of the heart, that we are in this mood, so then we will use every relationship to establish our superiority. And by the way, with juniors, this can even manifest in regards to children. Yes, that sometimes, let's imagine a mother comes home completely tired, worn out after 8 hours work. There's all this frustration and anger and also envy in the heart. And then sometimes, people lash out on their kids and they cop it. Sometimes you see this in the supermarkets in the evenings when the people pick up their kids from the daycare center and do the quick shopping, and they scream at the children that you think, my God, the poor child, Yes. So even there, in that relationship, that can manifest, Yes. Yes. I'm not sure if I want to be so absolute that any emotion it sounds a little too absolute. Somebody may find some emotion which which is not based on envy, and it's also not compassionate or something. But yeah, I mean, see also, it is just a gradual process. It's a gradual transformation, to free ourselves from envy. So it's not black and white, oh, this person has envy, this person doesn't have envy or something. But it's a gradual process, yes. But yeah, I mean, see, the root cause is actually false ego. That we think ourselves to be something which we are not. And then comes the envy in, So, and as we subdue and dissolve our false ego, instead of boosting and feeding it, so as we really become free from false ego, proportionally, so many other nice qualities shine through more and more. We become tolerant, we become forgiving, all these qualities are secondary qualities of humility, actually, yes. Yes, but it's interesting to see how it all fits together, and how things affect each other and all that, yes. Maybe, if with your permission, let me say a few little words about these books. Some of you have them already, but some may not have seen them yet. Spiritual Culture, Krishna's Divine System. This is all about the different natures and qualities of man and woman. How they're very different because they're, according to Krishna's system, they're meant to play certain roles. And we women are very powerful. Actually, in many ways, we are superior to the men. Yes. We have a very powerful Shakti. Prabhupada says that, that woman's energy is much more powerful than men's energy. But also Bhagavatam tells us that we women are meant to be the power of inspiration to the men. That we should actually empower the men and not compete with them. Yes. So it's quite thought-provoking, quite insightful. The whole book is actually about women. Yes. And I learned all these things because for over 24 years, I've been preaching in Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is a very special place. It's East Bengal. Most of Mahaprabhu's associates come from there. And because it's a Muslim country today, this preserves our Vaishnava culture immensely. Yes. It's the place to really experience our Vaishnava culture. When I'm there, it's like, I feel like I'm entering Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's really a different planet. Yeah. So over 24 years, I learned so many things there, because when I'm there, I'm only with the locals. There's no Western devotees, even no devotees from India. They're all locals there, and I live with them, I travel with them, preach with them, eat with them, everything. And I've learned so many things, and I'm still learning so many things. So and that's what inspired me to establish this Institute for Spiritual Culture. And I put all these courses together, which I teach in Mayapur every year in January. So now I'm putting the courses in book form so it can reach more people. So each book is actually a 15-hour course. So many temples use these books for devotee training, Yes, because all you have to do is read 1 or 2 chapters, take some notes, Prabhupada's quotes are all in there, and ready is your presentation. So it's good for preachers, teachers, devotees who train others, and Yes. So yeah, I mean, I dare say any woman who wants to have harmonious relationships with men around her, it's worth having a look at this. Not only in family life, even just in communal life, or even at work with non-devotee colleagues. If you apply these principles, the atmosphere will be more harmonious. Yes. And also for the man, any man who wants to get the support and empowerment from women around him, also worth checking it out. You know? So, and then the next one, Sheltering Relationships. That's the book about mentorship. Yeah, such an important topic. We have lost so many devotees over the last 50 years because we did not understand that just having guru not enough. We need a mentor. We need somebody on a more regular basis who helps us to balance our practice and how to move forward step by step. If we don't have that, very easily we stay in our comfort zone and we become stagnant. And we may come, for 30 years every Sunday to the Sunday program. We may even do a bit of seva, clean the floor, serve the prasadam out, but nothing else really happens in our heart because we leave it all as it is. We don't move forward to the next step, So it's very helpful, to have a mentor. And eventually, if we want to rise above the Kanishta level, we have to guide others and reach out to them. And actually in this book there is the whole chapter on this topic of envy. Because when we are envious, we don't want to reach out to others and sacrifice ourselves to uplift them. And we also don't want to take shelter of seniors. So envy is what blocks us the most from giving shelter and accepting shelter. And there's so many other topics in there, the culture of correcting others, who should correct, and when and how, and culture of respect, and because, by the way, there's the etiquette. To correct others, one should be non-envious. Because the best correction will be poisoned if it is given with envy, if it is given with some huffy, false ego envy mood. It ignites the other person's envy and it is contaminating, Yes. So then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. I think the title speaks for itself. False ego is so subtle. In the name of Krishna consciousness, we can easily feed and boost it instead of dissolving and subduing it, And it is all going on massively. Yes, or when we get offended, how often does that happen in our life? It's the false ego crying out for justice. Yes, when we can't let go and forgive and move forward, Yes, so there's a lot of all practical application. See, all my humble preaching efforts are the practical application. How do we live our philosophy? Not enough just to read it and learn it and quote it and study, Bhakti Shastri, good start. But then comes step number 2, how do we live it practically in our daily life? Yes. And in this book is also a whole chapter on chanting the holy name and japa and kirtan, like a summary of a holy name retreat. Because the holy name very instrumental in dissolving the false ego, but we have to know how to chant. Just mechanically rattling down our rounds just to get them out of the way, that will not do anything. It's a whole deep science, this chanting. And then we have entering the Grihastha ashram, how to do it, how better not to do it. It's like a handbook for matchmaking. How to see that a man and a woman are compatible. Yes, here in South Africa, I feel you need a matchmaking committee. Most more progressive temples in Europe, they have that. They have a matchmaking committee. And you also have a fair bit of a divorce rate here, I heard. So often this is connected that nobody helps people. And people just meet each other, fall in love, have the pink glasses on, and they don't see what they get themselves into. So there's a whole list of more than 200 topics which they should discuss with a cool head to see, are we on the same page? You know? Because there's so many different moods and standards and tastes and how we can live Krishna consciousness, you know. So it has to match, otherwise there will be frustration there, you know. So it's very helpful for people who are not married yet, for parents who have teenage children, you know, or for any senior devotee who wants to help and guide people how to actually change, you know, one's ashram, you know. And then last but not least, family life as an ashram, secrets of success. It's also good preparation, because often we don't get educated, you know, we don't take education and training. People just get married and they don't have a clue how to actually create a culture of bhakti in our home. Many married devotees' home life is not an ashram. And that's why people often don't make so much advancement in married life, you know. So this teaches us very practically how to actually really create this culture of bhakti in our home life. And if this is there, then the kids very naturally take up Krishna consciousness. But if that culture is not there, they will not want to take up Krishna consciousness. And this book also has a whole chapter on physical intimacy in marriage. How to live this principle of no illicit sex life. There's quite a bit of confusion. Nobody talks about it. People are confused and don't know how to make things work. So I did quite some research and I came across interesting episodes with Prabhupada, which hardly anybody even knows. Yes. So this again puts a whole different perspective to the whole topic, you know. People who guide others, even if you are not married, but we should know these things, you know. It's part of general knowledge, so we can reach out to others and guide them and help them, you know. Yes, so if anybody would like to get some books, they're 300 Rand each, which may sound a lot to you, but to send things to South Africa is so expensive, you would not believe. It's more expensive than any other part of the world. Even New Zealand, cheaper than sending to South Africa. But many devotees got the whole set in other cities, in Cape Town and Johannesburg, you know. So if you want to get the whole set, there's a little discount, 1,300 instead of 1,500. And you can even pay with card. I have a card machine on me. Yes, so it would be my greatest pleasure to put these books in your hands. Okay, so I think we'll leave it at that, 7:45. So tomorrow morning I will be giving the Bhagavatam class, and I think the day after also, and Saturday morning also. And then, what else? Saturday afternoon I'm in the other temple, Phoenix Temple. Then Sunday at 2, is it? 2 or 2:30? 2. We have a ladies' sangha. Yes. So there's a few things coming up. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samavita Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi,
Hare Krishna. A big thank you to Her Grace, Devaki Devi Dasi. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. I think we all agree that this has been a most inspiring, enlightening, thought-provoking session that we had today. So Mataji clearly has a whole lot of wisdom to share with us and nectar to share with us. So do attend Mataji's other programs, as Mataji said, New Jagannath Puri on Saturday from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then on Sunday, Mataji is also doing the morning program on Sunday at Temple.
11:30.
11:30. And then the Vaishnavi Sangha program at 2 o'clock. So we look forward to all of these programs with Mataji to take advantage of Mataji's association. Thank you, devotees, for coming out on a weekday evening and spending this time with us. A safe journey home to all of you. Hare Krishna.